And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to PTZOptics and HuddleCam HD Live. I'm your host, Tess Protesto. We are live the first Thursday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm joined today by some wonderful, esteemed guests in the green room. Before that, I'll give you a little bit of an introduction on the topic today. We work with a lot of house of worship customers in the PTZ camera industry, and a question that we have seen time and time again involves copyright issues. When we're live streaming, that is a big concern, and we're going to go in today and answer any questions that you might have about copyright issues for house of worship streaming music. I've got a special co-host with me today, Mr. Stephen Haywood, our very own broadcast engineer. Give you a nice little intro here, Stephen. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Tess?
I'm good. We're having fun today. We got a good group of friends to chat about this topic.
I seen you in the pre-show. You were dancing. Everybody was getting down with you in the chat room. It
I
was pretty
know. I
good.
hope that everybody was dancing too at home virtually. Well, I was chatting with you before the show, Stephen, and we got into an interesting conversation about an experience that you have had in your experiences being sort of an AV technician at your church. Can you tell us the experience that you had?
Yeah, and fortunately, it didn't happen, at the church, but it happened when I was doing one of my previous broadcasts that I used to do. I was syndicated on radio, and the station manager had given me a bunch of bumper reels to play, which I had asked him. I said, "Do you have the license for this?" And he said, "Yeah, we have the license to play this," and it had their call sign over it, and I had to play it at the top of the hour, and usually, right before you go off the air, so that the next person that's going live would take it. So I would then syndicate that show on my YouTube, my Facebook, and whatnot. Well, I had been off the radio station probably 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden I get this registered letter in the mail, and I was being sued for $15,000 per instance that music was being used. So I think it tallied up to almost like $800,000 or something along those lines for the 2 years that I was with the radio station and the episodes that I had created. So I managed to get on the phone with the company, and I told him, "Look," I said, "I talked to the station manager." I said, he said he had the licenses for all this stuff, and he told us, meaning the other DJs as well,
Right.
to play this, during the show. And he said, yeah, he had the license, even though it was free play music. He had the license until he started advertising. Once he started advertising, that um, vilifies the, you know, any kind of agreement that he had. So then he has to start paying royalties on it. So I said, well, look, I didn't do it on purpose. I was just doing what he told me to do. And I had the emails from the station manager that was telling me to play this music. So I was able to send it to them. And they said, well, we'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go after the radio station for these damages. I don't know what they settled on or what they went after them for. I just
Right.
know what mine was for. And they ended up, I kept the emails, I sent them over, and they just basically asked me to take the stuff down for now. And, I ended up keeping it, but just made it private. So quite scary, Tess. It's a scary thing when you start messing around with music and you're not sure.
Yeah, and we've had some bad experiences ourselves having this online platform. Nothing to that extent, but that's why
Mhm.
we just wanted to make sure that our audience has some helpful tools and experience from us so that you can not make the same mistakes. And, I do want to clarify though, we don't have legal representation, or we are not able to, what's the word I'm trying to say? Take your own trusted legal avenue with this stuff. We're not lawyers, so we're just sharing our own experiences. So take it as you will. And here to share their experiences and some wonderful information about this topic today, I have Gary Buchanan of Boxcast, also an AV technician for his house of worship, and Greg Terry, a worship pastor and worship leader. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you, Tess.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Greg.
We're having a fun time over here with this crew today, so it's gonna be one for the books. We've got a lot of questions in the chat, which might drive the majority of our conversation today, guys. But I do want to do a little bit of a preface here. We know that houses of worship do have protection to perform songs that are not original within the church, but once you go live, that religious service exemption no longer exists. And that's correct in your experience, gentlemen?
You want it, Gary, or me?
Let's start with Greg.
All right. It's 100% correct. So basically, Tess, this is what you have. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not a lawyer, although when I was growing up, I really wanted to be Matlock. So that doesn't count. But a lot of experience here, and I'll do my best to help you guys out. So when it comes to copyright, and I'm a songwriter, I've had songs copywritten. It's pretty simple. So in the United States, there is a religious exemption, but most people do not understand, and I hope this is a help to the community out there today, because I was reading in the chat some of the questions. Most people and churches do not understand the difference between a license for copyright versus a license to stream. They are not the same license. So there are some organizations, CCLI, which we know. And I saw another question in the chat. Is there an alternative to CCLI? Because some of the songs one of the guys in the chat was asking are not covered. Well, there is another one, and that's called CCS. That is Christian Copyright Solutions. But regardless, what we're dealing with here is you have a copyright. So in general, a copyright is there to protect the person giving the material of the product. And there's two types of copyright law. There's economic copyright law and there's moral copyright law. So economic copyright law, especially for a church, means we're not there to take finances away from whoever wrote the piece, or for what we're talking about today, wrote the song. But then there's the moral side of copyright law, which covers, let's say you have a song you like, your church likes doing Shout to the Lord, for example, from Hillsong. But you don't like the arrangement of it. So you rearrange Shout to the Law, or Shout to the Lord. Well, then you're touching on the moral law, because we believe that God gifted somebody to write a song, to arrange it, to put the chord progression, to put the melody line, to put the lyrics. And then we do not have liberty then to go and just destroy their work. If we're going to destroy their work, then just write another song. So there's that moral side. So you have economic and copyright. And we can get to this a little bit later, and I'll push it to Gary. But then you have copyright and you have streaming. They are different beasts. And I'm sure we'll get into that as we go deeper. It's a great topic, and I'm looking forward to helping out the best I can, because there are a lot of questions on this.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge many times.
It certainly is. So we've established two main forms of licensing acquisition, CCLI and CCS. So you can look into these. I guess they're organizations that offer licensing. Something else I wanted to touch on that I believe Gary and I had spoken about earlier was master recordings versus covers. Gary, are you able to comment on where the permission boundaries lie between making a cover version of a song and playing that actual master recording during a service?
Yeah. So a lot of times where you run into licensure issues, especially with live streaming, say to Facebook or even YouTube, is because you're using an actual mastered version of that song. So that would be taking maybe a Lincoln Brewster song, Hillsong, Bethel, whatever, and you're playing that song, you're playing the master copy. So that would be like using a Spotify account, or maybe you hooked up your iPhone and you're playing it off of like Apple Music, or maybe you have it downloaded onto your phone or device. Because master copies, those are what algorithms will be looking for. That's what they're listening for. They're listening for that master tone. They're listening for the changes in the way that music has been written, and they're designed to pick that up. So a lot of times with live streaming, if you're not using a master copy, such as if you're doing a cover, so if your band, your church band, is playing music and they're playing a song that you have a license for from CCLI or CCS, then that is considered a covered song, and it's not technically going to be hit with any kind of like licensure requirement. Now, I have seen it a few times where the song is like so close and it's really, really good that they kind of get tagged. But as long as you have the proper licensures from streaming services such as CCLI, they offer one, then you're able to actually then replicate and play that through live streaming, and because you've paid for that licensed copy. So master recordings, usually the ones that are fully functional master, gold masters sent out over CD or digital representation, digital copy, those are the ones you typically get nailed for when it comes to something like Facebook or YouTube.
That's interesting.
And what Gary's talking about there with master copy, he nailed it perfectly, but maybe we can break it down even a step further. If your church is like using Loop Community or Ableton or multitracks.com, when you go in there and you say I want to add layers to my band. We don't have 3 guitars, and you begin to go that process to the next level of musical production. In there are master tracks, and then there could be like community tracks, or the company outputs their tracks. So when you are purchasing the master track, basically Nashville is in your building, or LA, or wherever it was master recorded, right. That's a whole different beast, because literally those musicians are playing with you, and of course it's going to be dinged.
Yeah, and I'm getting a question here.
And that's the reason those companies like...
No, go ahead, finish your thought. No, it's okay. Totally okay. We'll just get into this after.
Yeah, that's why those companies, they actually tell you that those are master versions of those tracks. Okay. So if you're using a community version, one that's been created from somebody in the community, it's not basing it outside of that master final gold. It's actually 100% a community base, so it's considered cover at that point. So you have to be very careful. Like if you're going to use, again, like having Nashville there or having somebody there, especially using the master track, it's like having them there, like what Greg said. So you have to be very careful with that.
Yeah, and going on with the licensing, we have seen this question a few times. Should you be displaying your licensing? Should it be in the copy of your stream? How do you represent that you have a license?
I know with Pro Presenter, we put it in at the end of each song. It's in the bottom right-hand corner. Sometimes what they'll do is sometimes they'll put it right above the title. It's really a preference of up to you how you want to do it, but we try to put it like right either above or below the song or on the last slide of the song. I don't know how the other guys do it.
Well, it's the same. So, maybe many people on here today, maybe many people do not know what Pro Presenter is or Easy Worship. These are presentation softwares to use, and they actually have a little plugin in the software where if you're connected to CCLI, for example, it will automatically draw your copyright permissions, the documentation that needs to be on this slide, or you could print it out along with your license number. It's really done for you. And once again, just to differentiate, and I know this is PTZOptics and we're streaming and we're talking about all this, but these things really apply to the streaming side. If you're in your house, in your church, and you're streaming, but at the same time, maybe you're providing lyrics on a piece of paper, you can just put the little copyright information at the bottom of the song. I'm a firm believer that those who give need to be honored for their work.
Oh, certainly, even if you're just projecting.
And I would agree.
Go ahead, Gary.
Sorry about that. I was just going to say I agree with both gentlemen. The difference that I would say is a little bit challenging for AV techs for the churches and organizations is just the simple fact that displaying it doesn't actually do you any good except that you've displayed it. Facebook's not looking for your CCL license number on the video. So sometimes it's even better for you to actually copy and paste that into the description of your video, of your actual live stream. And that makes it a lot easier for that to be seen. Now, I can't tell you, I've had this experience once or twice and it didn't save me anything. but it's there. And so you can exclaim that, hey, we do have a licensure and we do display it both visually and digitally.
And just to add in to what Gary's saying here, and this is not to alarm folks, this is just the way it happens. You know, I write music, I travel, I lead worship all around the world. I also stream live worship every Wednesday night for a night of worship. And then, of course, you know, whether traveling or at home, I'm always dealing with this. And, you know, maybe Gary, you've had this experience, or maybe you out there watching have had this experience. But, you know, these algorithms that we're talking about, where Facebook or YouTube are catching those tones or catching those progressions. You know, we're in a world right now with musical writing and musical production that I don't really like. I mean, I love it. I do it all, not all, but a great majority love it. It's great. But my problem in 2021 is that all the worship music sounds alike. We're using the same chord progressions. We're using the same rhythms. We're using the same pads. We're using the same tones. We're using the same guitar sounds. We're using the same melody lines. So I have actually been dinged, and we had to deny it and show our license, but dinged when the algorithms actually thought we were doing another song than we were doing. They couldn't even catch it.
Wow.
So it's not something to alarm you. It's just everything is so similar today. But if you do your due diligence, you go with a CCLI or a CCS, and you protect yourself, there's nothing to fear. You know, you go by the rules, you do your reporting, you broadcast your license and your information, and you're good to go. It's no problem.
Yeah, that's the important thing, is just making sure that you keep yourself covered, you know. So, and I mean, at least in the church realm, you know, house of worship spaces, just if I can be just candid, it's very difficult because people think churches have a ton of money, and so if you make one little small slip up, there could be a potential issue there. so you got to be very, very careful with that. But like what Greg said, you know, don't be afraid. Just make sure you have a CCLI or CCS licensure. Have that available. Make it at least visible somehow, whether it be digitally or physically in the house of worship. You know, especially during your live stream. And try, if I could be even more candid, try not to play canned music that is copyrighted right at the beginning of your live stream, like during a countdown, right? Try not to do that, because that's typically 9 times out of 10, that's where they get, you know, that's where you get nailed, is that it's right at that moment. Like you got that 3-minute countdown and you're playing Bethel, and there it goes, right? You're gonna get snagged on YouTube for monetization. So if anything, use some canned music. There's free royalty-free music out there that, as long as you're not using it in an ad space, or if you're not using it to purchase or to sell something in that nature, you could use canned free, you know, royalty free music in turn. Or even better, you know what? Record your own stuff. Be glorifying to God through that, right? Record your own stuff and play it. It
Gary,
makes it so much cooler.
Churchy?
Oh, bro, come on,
Come
listen.
on, man.
You can't not in the show.
Get it
Hey,
all.
But you know, I just want to bounce on Gary there, and I know Steven's biting at the bit to roll. Gary, so you're playing music in your church pre-service. People are walking around, they're greeting each other, and then after the service, right, you get dinged, and you go, "What? How did I get dinged? I wasn't even playing the music through the system." No, but your speaking mic on the pulpit was open, and it heard the speakers, and boom, they got you. So do your due diligence. And if you just put a little bit of back end work, a little bit of sweat and tears, very few tears, a lot of sweat, you really won't have many problems.
You won't have any more problems. I think my whole goal for this thing is to help educate, but I'm not going to let Steven talk. That's the thing. So
I want to throw it over to Tess, because I want to see where, you know, if we don't want to go down a rabbit hole here. We want to follow where, you know, if there's some questions coming in. So Tess, what do we got?
Yeah, Jane is asking, do you need multiple licenses? Or if you just get one license for one song, you don't need to then go from CCLI to CCS, right?
There's two different licenses with CCLI that we operate under, and yes, you do need both. So the first one is their actual song select and CCLI license. That's giving you the ability to play your music and rehearse it and share the master tracks, as well as any of the master composition So if you've got composition work, or maybe you have a lyric sheet, or even a chorded lyric sheet, that is the first license. And so it gives you the ability to send it over, say, Planning Center, or send it out to somebody, however you communicate with your team. Gives you the ability to actually rehearse, practice, and perform those in-house, being covered under that license. The second one, especially with CCLI, is their streaming license. And that's a little bit different because they offer two different versions of that streaming license. And so within that streaming license, if you just do streaming, it gives you the ability to post live recorded services on your church's site or other streaming platforms of your worship. And so that would be anything that you're playing. But it also then, if you do I guess there's like a second tier, it's like a plus one, it goes a little further. So it actually gives you the ability to use master recordings anytime throughout your stream church services, and it gives you that coverage. So yes, there is a requirement to have both. Our church does both. I think we actually do we do every one of them that CCLI offers, only because of the fact that we have video clips that we play from time to time that are considered licensed, covered under that copyright. So yeah, and I mean, I would love to hear what Greg says, but I believe it's a yes.
Well, I think the question there was CCLI versus CCS. You broke down the internals of CCLI. So here's my best recommendation. And from listening to Gary, we completely agree with this. CCLI, you're good. And honestly, it's the best, and it covers everything. And with the Stream Plus that Gary was talking about, that actually would probably get you by even with pre-service music, because you're allowed pre-service music on your stream from multi-track or from master tracks. So you're probably going to be covered there and not have any issues. CCS is a secondary company. And the reason I recommended CCS, very simple. Let's say your church has a musical tradition that is different. Maybe it's more gospel oriented, or it's more different genres of music, and you're coming and you're finding out, oh, this song's not covered by CCLI. This song's not covered by CCLI. Oh, but it's here at CCS. Then at that point, you and your church may want to look towards CCS. But in general, I highly recommend CCLI, not only for the copyright protection, not only for song reporting, it's all done for you if you're using software that records your data, but ultimately for the streaming side. And in addition, and I know it sounds like, well, it's more money. They charge you the license fees depending on the size of your church. So if you're a smaller church, the fees will be lower. If you're a mega church, of course, the fees will be higher, because, not because you have more money, but because you are hitting more people, because they're trying to look out for the authors and the songwriters and the content creators. But there's a third thing that CCLI offers, and that's a video streaming license, which really, let's say your pastor is using a video clip from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Most likely that clip is going to be covered, and you can go in and look them out. It also allows you to, for example, that movie company out of Atlanta, those guys that made the movies like, what's that Christian company where the lady was praying, and the Giants ones too. Anyway, Christian company down in Atlanta. You can actually have movie nights at your church, and you're protected under that license.
What about hymns? What about hymnals?
Hymns are covered by CCLI.
Okay.
99.9% of hymns are covered by CCLI. I saw the question, can I play a hymnal song from a YouTube? Absolutely. With that CCLI license. And actually, there's about 20 to 25% of hymns that are written that are what's called public domain. And that means there is no copyright, which means you can do whatever you want with the song. Or some of these older hymns, the copyrights have expired or not been renewed. And those are basically public domain. The others are covered by CCLI. So with full assurance, you get a CCLI license, just make sure you're protected. You can roll the hymns all day long, and I love the hymns.
Stephen, I wanted to ask you specifically regarding royalty-free music versus copywritten music. Like Cliff was saying, he has a subscription to a royalty-free music platform for his live streams. Are you actually guaranteed safety with each of those?
It really depends on the terms of service of that site. Just like the instance I ran into, the second you try to monetize, the license might state the second you try to monetize this, meaning you're asking for sponsorship, or you'll have to look at it, or online donations, they'll even take that into consideration. You could be subject to getting some kind of backlash from that particular company that's giving that music. And they might even have something in there that states that if you use CCLI, you're covered. It doesn't matter. So
Right.
essentially, you're paying for those licenses and things like that. So every state has their own requirements. Every state has their own laws. I would just read through the fine print of the website that you're getting these hymns from. Talk to somebody on the phone if you can, because it's very important to make sure that if you're accepting any kind of money, that you could be in, they said earlier about even playing copywritten clips like Indiana Jones and stuff. You could be in a position where you could get a copy strike and they could be suing you for royalties.
Right.
It's something I don't particularly mess around with.
And you mentioned earlier, save your transcripts from conversations with those organizations so you have some protection for yourself. It sounds silly, but something as small as that protected you in the long run, Stephen, right?
100%. I highly recommend any kind of communications that you have keep, anything like that. If they're telling you it's safe to play, and then all of a sudden you get, one of those bots, as Gary mentioned earlier in the program, about that go through and look at the algorithms, and they say, oh, you're using copywritten music. Well, no, they said it was safe. So then it goes back on them as opposed to being back on you. Ultimately, you are responsible for what you play. But if you're giving the wrong information from the company that's selling you those songs, or you're buying a package for a monthly deal or yearly deal, it does tend to fall back on them.
Okay, and we're getting a lot of comments. It's like, I have the license, but I'm still getting disputed, which is true. But my understanding is it just protects you to be able to dispute the copyright strike. Those licenses.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah. Why don't you guys get into that a little bit? Go, Gary, get into talking about the algorithm with Facebook and how it's not really a real person pressing a button,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Facebook or Meta, I don't know what you want to call them right now. They have like 15 different names.
Oh boy.
They are a tricky organization. So there is, like Steven said, there's no physical human actually sitting there pushing a button and listening to your music and then trying to find that somewhere in a master recording. It is an algorithm that, again, quotations, listens for the song and for the intonation and the rhythm, and it actually, what happens is, like BMG Music Group, I've had this happen. They actually give them like the full mastered recording, and then the algorithm goes in and matches that against what was being played for whoever they're striking. And so if it matches exactly based on the algorithm, then what Facebook typically will do is they literally will mute your entire stream until it's done. And so when that happens, you just hear this like empty space of no audio, and then you just see the pastor's mouth moving while they're playing the canned music in the background. YouTube's a little bit different because YouTube, they want your content, but with YouTube, they want to make money off of your content. Not only that, but they want the people who originally owned the song to be able to monetize that video, which means they can throw an ad up in the middle of your pastor talking about something highly important regarding Jesus, and all of a sudden now you see an ad for Swiss cakes, right? So right. You have to be very diligent about what you are playing. Now, I want to be, how do I say this? I want to be very clear here, and I think Greg and Steven will be with me. 99.999% of the issues that most folks encounter when they get striked on Facebook or on YouTube is because you're playing something in the background, or you're playing it in the foreground that is not being covered. This is usually canned music. This is where we have received all of our monetization strikes from YouTube and from Facebook, is because we have played something that was a master recording. Okay, if you're getting those strikes where you're playing the song or the hymn and it's you doing it on the piano, then you should be able to reach out through that and dispute it, giving them the CCLI or the CCS licensure numbers, explaining to them that this is covered. And 9 times out of 10, they do go ahead and remove that claim of monetization. It is a process. I'm not going to tell you it's easy, because it is not. It is very difficult to get them to remove these. And sometimes it can take weeks and even months for them to process that dispute and actually agree with you. So it's a little bit different. Now,
You're seeing a question there.
Is this a question?
This is for you, Gary.
We use Boxcast?
We use Boxcast, and are we protected through Boxcast even though we stream to Facebook?
Yeah, that's a great question, Victor. Okay, so I'm glad that you chimed in here, and I'm glad I get to talk about a little bit about Boxcast and what we do for you guys. We are not CCLI. We are not a licensure system. We do not protect you if you're streaming to social platforms. We don't even protect you if you're going to your website. But we also aren't listening. We do not go in and every Sunday or every services or every Monday service or whatever service day you're having, we don't go in and we don't flag your account because you're using copyrighted music. We leave that to you. That's your responsibility. But likewise, Boxcast has some very strict terms and conditions, as well as our community standards, and that you can find on our website. But usually if it's like licensed music and you're going to get dinged, it's because you're sending it to Facebook or YouTube. But Boxcast is not in the business of monitoring your broadcast to see if you're streaming licensed music or not, or if you have a copyright claim against you. So Boxcast doesn't handle that. We can give you advice, just as we are doing here with the rest of our friends here at PTZOptics, and kind of help you through the process of what you might need to do. But in turn, we are not the police. We just want to make sure you have a good quality stream and that you can make people part of the experience.
Thank you. We have a few more minutes here to cover these.
Tess, I saw a couple of the questions in here.
Great.
One of the questions was, somebody was asking about they get struck quite often, and is this normal? Yes, it is normal. That doesn't mean you're being struck. It just means that you're being questioned. So quite often, if that happens, and it can actually happen, in no joke, 6 months later, well, they'll say, hey, this stream on May the 5th, you potentially broke a copyright law. And then, if you're covered, your church has done its due diligence, you just go in and say, no, we're legal for this. And it's done. It'll go away 99.999% of the time. Secondly, I saw another question in there. Guys, please make sure you understand CCLI and CCS are different companies.
Correct.
They're not the same. And 99%, you do not need both of them. A lady in the chat asked, and I'm not reading the chat, I just scanned through it, or I would call your name, I'm sorry. But she asked, what other types of music are covered, like with the different one? Your CCLI is a lot of your mainstream. It really is. But CCS has a much, much larger library that they cover. But for a majority of churches, CCLI is the ticket for you. Now, once you, as Gary was saying, once you break into CCLI and you're using Song Select, you then get into different types of copyright protection. That's the protection of the copyright. Then you have a streaming protection where you are allowed legally to stream others' content. So, I highly recommend you can go to ccli.com. I do not work for CCLI. I'm a friend of PTZOptics, but CCLI, they're really some good people. Now, let me tell you this. I've played a lot of music with Eddie James. Okay, Eddie James, pretty popular around the country. We have played music with Eddie James where he has been copyright struck on his own music he wrote.
I have seen some questions regarding that as well.
Oh, okay? Man, that's
Eddie
difficult.
James has been
difficult.
copyright stricken on the music he wrote. So let that actually be an encouragement to you that even if the own songwriter is being struck, it happens.
It happens.
You just deny it.
It's about having that proper licensing.
That's correct.
Yeah, we just want to get some clarification for Ryan. Our streams, we stream every Sunday, but we do not play recorded music. We only sing it. Should you typically be safe if you're just singing? Are we only talking about licensing if it's recorded?
Can I just make a statement here? Every church needs copyright protection.
You should have it, regardless
Period.
if you're just
You
doing
should.
it.
Absolutely.
It doesn't
yes,
matter if you're
agreed.
streaming
That's
or you're saying,
unanimous.
hey, we don't stream at all. We're just singing in the sanctuary. You need copyright protection.
And
Period.
just giving recognition to the artist in the description is not going to
Correct.
be enough.
No, that's not going to work when you go to Judge Judy and Judge Judy asks, hey, did you give permission? Hey, I gave them all the glory in the world, but do you have a license?
Yeah.
Well,
No.
Yeah, Judy's not going to care if you don't have that
Judy's not
license,
gonna
Judy.
care.
She's not going
Tess,
to care.
it's even true with churches if they do like a Super Bowl party, right?
Right.
The church has to
Oh,
get
yeah.
express written consent from the NFL. Just like you could have friends over watching the NFL in your home and you don't need a license. A church does. A church needs to have, if they're showing a movie. If you're showing a movie, let's say a movie came out that's religious or Christian or wherever you guys are in the house of worship space there, and you want to show that for your congregation, you have to get a license to show that to your congregation members, and you have to tell them exactly how many people are going to be viewing that.
Jeez. I don't think
That's
they
a
did that
must.
when we were watching VeggieTales back in the day.
I'm just saying these are things that you could get attacked for from if they want to press
It's true.
the issue.
Yeah,
What
you
if
gotta
I'm
be very
streaming
careful.
to a private destination where it's a private
as,
CDN or
like,
just
your-
our website?
So that's an even better question. But again, I'm going to circle back to what everybody else has already said, is you need to have
Yes.
protection. I mean, you wouldn't live in your house without a roof, right?
There's lots of what
I
ifs, and
might.
we have the same answer every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of what ifs. If you're trying to skirt having to pay for a license, listen, guys, I'm going to be honest. CCLI is like, I think we pay maybe $140 a year for a CCLI license, and then we pay another like $65 a year for the streaming portion. Out
Oh.
of that, $200 and something dollars in coverage is going to save you from $5, $6, $8, $9, $1 million.
That's the why.
Yeah. So
And many
that's
people
the
would say,
why.
yeah, and many people would say, oh, but I'm a church and everything's good. Nobody would ever come against me. Oh, they'll come against you, I promise you.
Yes,
and
they
we're
will.
living in an
They will.
era where things are changing and transitioning at a record pace. And I saw the question in the YouTube chat. Well, nobody told me why I need the copyright license. Well, the reason you need the copyright license is it's the law. And as a church,
it is law, yes.
where we are called to minister the gospel of Christ with hope, love, peace, mercy, ethics, morality, we need to. You may not agree with every law in your land. That's fine. You live in a free country, or if you're watching from other nations. But when you have a law that deals with ethics and morality, like a copyright law, the church should be leading the path, saying, hey, we believe in this. We believe in and then that authors get their royalties. We believe in taking care of people, and we believe in the laws of our land. So, the church so many times has tried to skirt by or cheat by because we're the church. That day's over. That day's over. And we need to be
jerry
honorable.
rigging and jerry budgeting. Jerry rigging and jerry
Exactly.
budgeting, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and here's
Well,
we
listen,
have to be
so
honorable.
no, we
and
do. We
Tess,
totally do.
here's the thing too. A lot of these churches are 501c3s, okay, which is tax exempt from the government. If you get caught with copyright, they could actually revoke your 501c3 due to failing to abide by the laws of
Wow.
media and different things within. So you can get your tax exempt status revoked if somebody really wanted to push the envelope. These are things that you really need to look into in the house of
absolutely.
worship.
So
And
1
so-
year
and-
license, is it
Can I
sorry.
just dovetail on Stephen 1 second? Please, everybody in the chat that is watching live, everybody that will watch this later, all the friends and family of PTZ Optics, do not let any of this alarm you. This is great, great news. Oh, I'm going to lose my 501c3. No, you're not. Just get the license and rest in peace and enjoy ministering to people. The
Right,
CCLI
exactly.
is there to help you, not to hurt you. So if
Yeah.
you do, you're going to roll. It's no problem.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, and you have Bishop Nesby there just a little bit ago asked, like, do I have to do this every week? No, it's a yearly. It's
Annual.
like a subscription service. It's annual. You pay it. You report. You repay it. If your church grows, be honorable. Increase your subscription service because your church has grown. be honorable in that fact. But no, it's a 1-year annual renewal. I mean, honestly, you pay for car insurance. You should pay for streaming insurance.
Is it per
for
song
licensure.
or per album or?
It's a blanket coverage, so it should cover everything that's in their catalog or library.
That's good. There's another one here called One License.
By the size of your church. I saw Brian Fisher say permission is the law. A license is one, but not the only way to get that permission. And I don't disagree with you, Brian, but I want to just share something with you as I was sharing earlier. I've been on the stage playing with a song author, and he got dinged, and he wrote the song. So it's not just, well, I can call Chris Tomlin and say, hey, Chris, can I sing your song at my church? And Chris goes, yeah. But that's not going to cover John, the bass player in Nashville, and Ralph, the electric guitarist in Nashville. So it's multiple layers.
And you have to remember that a lot of times these songs you're not getting dinged by them by the actual artist. You're getting dinged by the music group that recorded the music and distributed the music and then advertised and marketed all that jazz. So it's not, Hillsong's not coming after you. And quite frankly, if I can just be even more candid, I don't think Hillsong cares, right? But it's the company that did it. Bethel does. Bethel definitely does. But
my goodness.
I've seen that a lot of times. But a lot of times, 99% of the time, it's because of the music group or the music organization that they've partnered with that is handling all of their copyright. So, yeah, you do have to do that. And, of course, more questions about hymns. Guys, listen, most hymns are covered. Most hymns are under some public domain. There are a few out there that aren't. What we recommend highly, though, and I would strongly suggest you do this, get in touch with somebody through CCLI or CCS or through the other organizations. Ask them what is in their catalog and their library. Most times you can actually search it online and get a good idea as to what is covered. That way you're not struggling to figure out, are we going to be able to do this? Because this is a popular song. We do it all the time. And you're not going to have to worry about it after you've already subscribed and then you're covered for a year. And now you know that, you've got the roof over your head, you got the protection in the bank, you're good to go. So reach out to those organizations as well. We're not experts in 100% of the catalog that each of these organizations provide for their licensure. We just know what we've done in the past. This is experience talking, right, Greg? I mean, I'm going to be honest, exactly. Stephen, right? This is experience speaking here. We have done this a long time. We've been through the loops 100 times or more. Stephen was almost, destitute because of an issue he had. So,
oh man,
we gotta be careful. So we just want to bring our expertise to you. You should contact the people who know more about what their catalog offers if you want to get more information about what's available and what's not.
Absolutely,
Tess, that might be a good thing for a future show, right? Have CCLI on.
I think that we might just have to get in contact with them. And after this show, for future viewers, on-demand viewers, I will link to those organizations that we discussed today in the description of the YouTube live stream. I did want to cover one more question, and then we're going to get into a giveaway we have today. There may be a few minutes left to enter. I'm not sure if it ended yet. If you haven't entered, check on ptzoptics.com/giveaway. We're about to do a giveaway. The last question that I wanted to ring by you guys was, how do you find out if a song is public domain? Just good old Google or?
No, that's easy. But unfortunately, I can't answer because I'm too busy on PTZ Optics entering for the giveaway. 1 second.
I was told I could enter in more than one time.
I'm entering the whole hour. No, listen. When you look at a piece of music, let's talk about a hymnal first. If you go to your church and you open your hymnal and you look at the song, you see the title, you'll see the author at the top right, and you'll see like the date it was written in the upper left, and you see the music, the staff music, and the lyrics. At the bottom of that sheet, you will see the copyright information. If it is public domain, it will clearly state public domain. You can also go to Google and type in, what are public domain hymns? What are public domain worship courses? And it's out there. It'll give you the list. And then you can create your library that way. But it's clearly stated. You won't have to hunt hard. Just look at the bottom of the sheet music.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. This was a really engaging conversation for our audience. So I can't thank you enough for joining the show with me today.
Yeah,
you're
my
welcome,
pleasure
Tess.
at least.
Stick around for a minute here because we are going to run the giveaway, and I am going to do a little bit of a plug for our newest integration with Boxcast. Few little housekeeping things before I spin that wheel for one of you guys. We just wanted to ode to one of our newest products, the PTZOptics Super Joy. We're proud to have just been honored with 2 awards for this product, and I wanted to make sure that we shared that huge accomplishment with our audience. Thank you so much for everybody who voted for us in these awards. We're very proud and excited. You're using the Super Joy today, aren't you, Michael? And next up, Boxcast. We have Gary Buchanan with us today. We're building a really great relationship with them because so many of our customers are both in the house of worship space. We kept getting questions, do your products work together? Well, we recently found out that they do. So if you are a PTZOptics or Boxcast customer, you can use our cameras with their products in a variety of different ways. I'll bring Gary up for a moment here with us. We have the Boxcast encoders that can be used with our PTZOptics cameras via HDMI. The Boxcaster Pro has the SDI or HDMI input that can be used with the PTZOptics outputs, and even via RTMP stream for the Boxcast software. What do you think about that, Gary?
Yeah, our encoders are super easy to use, and we are just ecstatic at the fact that PTZOptics can work and integrate with our products as well. We do have a lot of house of worship organizations out there that are using PTZOptics, and when you can bring 2 really good products together in a myriad of ways, it benefits both the streamer and the companies that are supplying, those organizations with the tools needed to get their live stream out. And being a Christian and being a live streamer myself and working for Boxcast, I can tell you we do use a PTZ camera, and it works phenomenally every single time with our Boxcast encoder. We use the Boxcaster Pro. We link that out over SDI. It's fantastic. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you're looking to get a little bit more information about how to get your PTZOptics products working, even your HuddleCam products working, just reach out to our support team, questions@boxcast.com. We have world-class support who's more than happy to help you answer those questions and get you going.
And if you want to learn more about that integration, you can head to ptzoptics.com/Boxcast. Boxcast even had their own live show featuring PTZOptics on Facebook and YouTube. So if you want to check out their Facebook and YouTube channels, you could learn more about that as well. All right. Let's do this giveaway. Let us know that you are here in the chat. We are going to spin the wheel for 1 lucky winner. I'm drawing our first winner now. I'm going to say their name aloud and put them on the YouTube chat. So if you are here, let me know. Our first drawing is for Aaron Whitfield. I will give you a little bit of time to let me know that you're here, and then I will pick another name. This is our first time spinning the wheel in a long time, and we have some new additions to the wheel, some fun prizes, so I'm really excited to do this. Steven, are you still there with me?
I am. I was kind of hoping my name was going to be the one drawn. I was just going to tell you, just save the time and just put my name in there.
It's
Don't
not
Enter enough.
you're disqualified.
Where's my name? I entered a
The story of my
38,000
life.
times.
I'm disqualified.
Sorry.
The form told me I wasn't allowed to enter anymore.
Oh no, they cut you off?
I've got the deer entering behind me and the bear. I'm doing my best to get as many. The deer didn't win and the bear didn't win either.
So Gary and Greg, there goes your chance. I can't give it to you because she said I'm disqualified. So
You're disqualified.
Gary
tried.
and Greg can enter, but Steve, you're out.
oh, stop it. What is up with this? So
Okay,
for the
so
you got that
Aaron
little branded
Whitford-
logo on your polo there, pal.
Whitfield, excuse me.
What
Aaron
logo?
Whitfield, are you here? Next drawing is going to be John Dwyer. John Dwyer, are you here? I'm going to keep drawing them until first come, first serve.
Not
Okay.
seeing any-
Yeah, you guys have to keep an eye on the chat for me. See if you see
Yeah,
anybody.
I'm watching to see if anybody jumps in. They're saying congrats, but I'm not seeing anybody.
Well, because
saying it.
everybody's saying
I
here,
won.
like they're here.
Uh-huh.
Because I asked everybody to say, let me know you're here, but I need to know the name. Yolanda Hinton.
Everybody's saying here.
So I'm like, who are you? I need a name. So
Bueller.
Yolanda.
So Lindsay's saying there's a gentleman, one of the ones that won is on Facebook, or he's on Facebook. That's why we didn't see it.
Okay. I should have had the
Wonder Woman.
Facebook chat up too. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I've been looking at vMix Social, which has Facebook and YouTube, but I wasn't paying attention. That's my fault. All right, John Dwyer. John Dwyer's here. Yay, John. Congratulations. We're going to spin the wheel for you.
Victor, man, my name is
Do you
easy to
have
pronounce.
a shot for me? Okay. Ooh, ah.
We have Vanna
Whoa.
White in the house.
Yes, Vanna White tripping over the wheel. That's pretty on brand for me. All right, here we go. 1, 2,
And live stream.
3. iOS app. Wow, that wasn't my best spin. I've had better days, but all right. So, and for those of you who are looking to enter our future giveaways, you get a little bit of a sneak peek on what you can get. We've added more cameras to this list, so your chances of winning one type of camera are larger. So congratulations to John for winning the iOS app. If you don't have a PTZOptics camera, you're going to have to get one soon so you can use that. Please email test.protesto@ptzoptics.com for more information on that. I guess we can wrap things up then, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tess.
Thank you guys so much.
They're a little
Absolutely.
salty right now because they didn't win. They're being
Oh.
salty.
I'm salty. The deer
know
is
what?
breathing down my neck going, what about me? What about me? Animal rights.
Oh, wow. Hey, see, I'm not salty. I'm very sweet right now. I think I've won the most because I got to be on here with two great gentlemen and an amazing host. So thank you
Aw.
guys for having me. And Boxcast
Dude.
is very excited.
Yeah, we've got a lot more to come with Boxcast, and I'll just go ahead right now and invite all of you to be involved in the Worship Summit Live in February. Does that sound good?
Sweet. Yeah.
That we'll have a whole nother room for this discussion for that. For any of you who might have missed out, we do have a yearly Worship Summit Live, date pending, information pending, but we will be sure to cover this topic again because it's a hot one for sure. Thank you guys so much, those of you in the chat, for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh yeah, I forgot. I had a couple other little tips. Michael's not letting me forget. He's like, you will cover your graphic. Some other stuff that I found myself online. If you're not going to, we have purchasing a license on here. We've talked all about that. But some other suggestions that I've found: use original music. That's your own music. Create a run sheet so you know exactly what is going to be playing from your speakers, playing from your streaming encoder hardware, software, whatever you're using, or use an independent streaming service. All right, which we talked about that could be tricky, the private streams. But thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Tess.
We'll see you next
you,
time,
Tess.
everyone.
See you later.